What up YouTube, Quasi here, and today I want to talk about starting on a 1000cc bike. Can you start on a liter bike? I think the short answer is yes, and I think the long answer is probably no. So what do I mean by that? Well, I think a lot of people make liter bikes sound a lot more scary than they actually are. Yes, they have a ton of power. Yes, they can get you into a lot of trouble. But I also think that especially with modern liter bikes, they're a lot more tame and controllable than people think. Maybe that's just because I'm riding this Ninja 1000, which is pretty smooth, pretty controllable. It's got power modes. But I think with modern 1000cc bikes, if you respect the bike, if you're honest with yourself and you know you're mature enough to not get into a dick measuring contest with other riders or with other motorists on the road, if you know you can take things slow and learn, read, study, watch videos, all that stuff, then you can do just fine starting on a 1000cc, even super bike. I do think there's a difference between a 1000cc cruiser and a 1000cc sport bike, because a 1000cc cruiser, they're so much heavier that it doesn't have the power, the get up and go that a sport bike has that could really get you into trouble. Not to say they're slow, it's just different. I think it's a lot harder to get yourself into trouble on a cruiser. But of course, people still get into trouble and get into accidents all the time, so you still need to be careful. But coming back to, can you start on a 1000cc? It is possible, but you really have to be honest with yourself. And I know that's hard to do sometimes because everyone tries to justify their own actions, their own thoughts, but take a look at yourself and how you ride. If you found yourself today all of a sudden on a 1000cc rocket ship and someone else pulls up next to you in another 1000cc rocket ship and they try to race you, are you going to race them? I know if I asked myself that, especially when I first started riding, I probably would have said yes, to be honest, because that's a natural thing, I think, for a lot of humans, maybe a lot of guys specifically, to want to show off what they have. They want to be the cool dude on a sport bike. That's okay, but just be honest with yourself. Some of the other problems of starting on a 1000cc bike are the weight and the cost. 1000cc bikes are typically a lot heavier than your 300s or even your 600s, so that's more to handle, more to control, easier to lose control of and drop or whatever, which if you're buying new, or even sometimes if you're buying used, that could still be a significant financial hit. So that's something you need to judge. Now, why I recommend, and why a lot of people recommend that you start on a 300, 400, I personally would recommend even up to a 600, because there's a lot of good 600 starting bikes that give you a lot of room to grow into. But why I would say that is cost, size, and trouble. It is much more difficult, even if you're riding balls to the wall, to get yourself into trouble on a 300 or 400cc bike. Yes, you could do it, but you could ride to redline all day, have a ton of fun, and not really put yourself in that many dangerous situations, specifically coming into a corner way too fast. With a 1000cc bike, while yes, the modern ones are pretty smooth, they have power modes, they're relatively controllable, if you flick your wrist too hard, you lose control, you could be suddenly going 100 miles per hour. Like on this bike, I think I could do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, and that takes about 5-6 seconds on the 300. Now 60 to 100 is a huge difference between the two bikes. On the 300, it would probably take me, I don't know, 10, maybe more seconds to get from 60 to 100. But on this thing, from 60 to 100 is probably another 3 or 4 seconds. This thing is quick. Things like that are what make starting on a 1000 bike very scary and dangerous if you're a new rider. Unless you're very honest with yourself, and there are people who have done it, but being honest, there are very few people that have done it, who started on a 1000cc, done it right, no accidents, they're still healthy, they're still riding, they're enjoying riding. But a lot of people start with even 600s or 1000s and they scare themselves out of riding. Instead of riding the bike is riding them, and that's not a situation you want to be in. The 300 or 400 though, yes, it takes a little longer to go from 300 to 600 to 1000 or 300 to 1000. It's a little more hassle. It's a ton of fun, and it's probably a lot more safe. Especially now that I've ridden a 1000cc, I see that it's not as scary to ride as some people say it is. But at the same time, I do realize It can get you in a lot of trouble really quick when you don't have that muscle memory, that fine throttle control, the ability to balance the bike perfectly. Not perfectly, but you guys know what I mean, better than a new rider. And that's why I do not regret for 1 minute starting on a 300. I think that was the right decision, and I would do it again, and I would definitely recommend all of my friends and family members who want to start riding to do it that way. With one catch, I would say that for most people, I think they are okay to start with a 400 or even a 600 bike, like the SV650, the Z650, the Ninja 650, the Honda CBR 650F. All those bikes I think are also good new rider options. They will give you plenty of power on the road. You'll be faster than pretty much any car on the road. You'll have a ton of fun, but they're also not insanely crazy like the 1000s can be. And another good thing about starting on one of those smaller bikes is insurance and maintenance costs. Not only is the initial price a lot cheaper, but ongoing maintenance for tires, oil, routine, whatever, I don't know, valves, all that stuff, it's cheaper on a smaller bike. And insurance can be drastically cheaper on anything under 1000 cc's. So that's my 2 cents. Hopefully it helps you. Like I said, you can start on it if your mind's set on it, and maybe you're older rider is what comes to my mind. I think you could do just fine on a 1000 cc, especially a 1000 cc cruiser. But please be honest with yourself. Bikes are fun, they're awesome, they're cool, but they are still dangerous. No matter what, if anyone tells you that riding a bike is completely safe, don't trust that person. Bikes are more dangerous. Even wearing full gear, doing it the right way, taking the class, they're more dangerous. But it's doable. Don't be scared. Just respect the bike, respect the power, take the time, spend the weeks it takes to master muscle memory. Not even master, but to just really get it down. Go around your neighborhood, whatever it takes. Anyways, that's all I got for you for this video. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. Peace.